In this lecture, we are going to add another section to our settings page and also a couple of fields. And during the way, we shall also recap how the settings API worked. It all started by adding a menu item. So, how we added it, let's recap. If we go to IDE and in our main class, that is under includes, this main class, we hooked into a action hook that is admin underscore menu. And in the callback method for this function that is found under our main admin class, right over here, if we scroll down, that is at admin menu, and if we just open it, we added a sub menu. And during the addition of this sub menu, we called for another method that is admin underscore page display, and in this page display method, we included a file that was responsible to display our fields, and this was going to use settings API. And now let's view what are the contents of this file. Right over here, it has a div with a class of wrap, and then it displays the page title. After that, it includes a form. There are two important parameters of this form. One is the method. Method should be equal to post, and action should be options.php. After that, we added settings field and also provided a hook where we can display our sections. And all these sections will be having a unique page ID that is rbr-settings-page. After that, we created another hook in our main class that was targeting admin underscore init. And in the callback method for this hook that is found right over here, admin underscore init, it called for three more methods. These were for adding settings section, and then it was for adding settings fields, and then it was calling a function that was responsible for saving the fields. Now if we want to add more sections, these are the three methods that we are going to look at. Now let's just create copy this everything from this method, as we are going to add another section. And right over here, let's provide a little documentation, and let's name it advanced section. Advanced section, and let's just update its field to match the name. Okay, let's just copy it. Advanced settings, and these are advanced settings. And also the page ID should remain same, as we are targeting the same page. Both these sections will be visible on the single page. So let's leave it like this. Now let's get to this section, and let's see what are the fields. So for this new section that we have just added, let's copy this field and let's name it test advanced field maybe. So advanced field 1. So let's just name it advanced field 1, and it is also advanced field and 1, and page should be same, and its name should be updated to match this one, its ID. And let's just update this value as well. And under the section, it should be added under advanced section. This ID is matching the section ID that we have provided on above, right over here. So let's add another field. Let's copy this out, and this time let's name it field 2 and just update, and that's it. So other things remaining same. Now if we open this save method, it is now registering a setting for a single field. Now let's just replace it and update its value to use option name should be equal to this. Update this one and also try to save it and update its value to 2. So that's it. Now if we just save it and go back to our admin, and let's reload and see what happens. So we have got 2 new fields as we have added. Now let's try to update these values, and advanced 1, and let's just copy and advanced 2. So let's just try to save and see. Perfect, the page has reloaded and the values remain same. Now let's go to this options.php and try to reload. Okay, perfect. I have got 2 new fields and the values are also updated. Now let's do an experiment here and let's see whether these fields and values are sanitized or not. Let's get back to adding this field. Maybe in the advanced field, let's write here is script and let's add our script tags. Let's just copy it and that should do the trick. Now if we try to save change, page has reloaded and the values are saved. Now let's see if it is saved in the database as well. Let's try to reload. Okay, this is strange. So all these fields are saved without sanitization. And this is the default functionality of settings API. If we want to sanitize, this is our responsibility as a plugin developer to sanitize these inputs. If we go to settings API documentation page and go to this section where it says organizing registration and validation of fields still requires some efforts from developers using the settings API. So the takeaway message is that being plugin developers, we are going to do the sanitization and validation for our fields. So if we just scroll down and go to this register settings page, in this codex page, if we all scroll down, there is the last argument, that is args, and it provides a sanitized callback. So let's just try to use it and see whether it works or not. So let's get back. In the registration, we have been using advanced field 1. So in the args array, let's provide it as an array. And in the array, let's provide a sanitize callback, and in the callback let's just make it, and let's write it sanitize text field. So this is looking good as per the documentation. Let's try to save it. Let's go back, and this time if we try to, let's reload, and this time if we try to save the changes, notice the script has been sanitized. Same is the thing in the in the database. If we try to reload, the field values are now sanitized. Now let's try this with our absent method. Let's just copy this and inside the args array, and let's just update it with absent. So let's just save it, go back. This time this should disappear. So or it should be 0, I guess. So let's save changes. Now its value is 0 because this value has ran through a sanitization callback, that is absent, and it has converted its value to 0. So if we try to put a positive value in this field and now try to save it, this has been saved. And if we just go back and try to see, there is one more thing that I want to bring your attention to before moving to next video, is that while saving the settings, if we try to save this, there is no feedback to the end user that whether the settings are saved or not. So let's add that as well. Let's go to our display field, and right after the h1, let's open a PHP tag and write a method that says settings errors. Now the name is changed because it also have this settings success messages. So let's just save it and let's try to reload the page. This time if we want to update the settings and click on save changes, there is a message saying that settings have been saved. These are some minor improvements to code but makes a great impact on the user experience. So now you know how we can sanitize a field. Let's update its the third value as well. Let's go to this and let's copy this array, and right over here let's just paste it like this. Now all these values will be sanitized. If you want to get more information on this function, you can always go to this register settings codex page, and it will provide you a detailed description of what are the options that are available for this register settings function. That's all for this lecture, and see you in the next lecture.